To share more, I would now like to invite our global CEO, Sundar Pichai. Let's welcome Sundar on stage.
Thank you, Rajan. Everyone here today, it's so great to be back in India. It's a privilege to be speaking with so many leaders of small businesses today. I think of small businesses as the backbone of India's economy. I was in Delhi last year around the same time, and I talked about how we as Google, how we are approaching building for India. India shaped how we develop products in so many ways, big and small. We have learned as a company that when we solve for a place like India, we solve for everyone around the world. That has led us to grow our teams here and spend more time in India to ensure our products really are useful for everyone. The work continues and the pace is quickened. In the last year, since my last visit, we announced YouTube Go, a new YouTube app that can work on slower networks. In fact, it's become popular globally after we launched it first in India. We released the Google Assistant in Hindi on our new messaging app, Allo. And India was one of the few countries where we launched our new flagship device, the Google Pixel. We also announced a dedicated cloud region for India coming later this year. And Rajan spoke about connectivity. Last year, we talked about bringing connectivity to 400 of India's railway stations. And we committed to doing 100 of the busiest railway stations this year, in 2016. And we have actually brought it to 110 of India's busiest train stations online with Wi-Fi, and millions of users are using it every day. We just launched Google Station, which lets people recreate our Wi-Fi in public spaces across India and around the world. Today, I'm here to mainly talk about India's small businesses rather than Google. But I can't quite get away without saying something about Google, so let me start by putting this in the context of our mission. Our mission for the last 18 years has been to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible. At a practical level, that means that information serves the widest possible range of people, not just the very few. That's why we work on open platforms like Android, because we can reach as many people as possible. It's always been that way at Google from the beginning. It's what drew me to Google over a decade ago. We've worked on products for everyone. When I was growing up in Chennai, information was a luxury. I would work hard to get access to any book I could so that I could, gain new information. Today, a kid growing up in Chennai with an internet connection can access the same information as a Stanford professor or anyone else in the world. And the stories I hear in India, for example, from our Internet Sati program, to show women in India's villages what the internet can do, are inspiring. A woman named Chetna in Alwar, Rajasthan, for example, as part of this program, did a search to figure out what was killing her village's crops. As a result of that search and hard work of the village, the harvest was saved. That's one simple example, but a powerful example. One woman with one smartphone. The story resonates particularly with me because it shows how information can work for anyone, for any individual or any small business with a dream of doing something better. And the tools for all this are getting much more useful and powerful at an astonishing pace. Sadly today, it's mostly large companies which are making use of them. But truly, anyone can harness the power of technology. The internet is as much for the established local merchant as it is for a high-flying startup. And with the internet, even a small business can become a large one in the blink of an eye. So I want to share 3 stories today. 3 stories of small businesses who have already made this journey, and I hope they inspire you to start your own. First, Go Co-op has been working with traditional weavers to show them how to harness the internet's power to expand a market. When Siva Devi Reddy visited his grandmother's village in 2012, he saw the decline of weaving co-ops. They knew how to weave, but they were struggling to market their cloth. Middlemen were involved, they would overcharge, and so he convinced the weavers, some in very remote areas, to put the products on his platform, Go Co-op. They got a direct connection to more buyers as e-commerce took off, and they took home more of the profits of their sales. Today, more than a third of their customers are from overseas. Another example, Maganlal Reswala, a venerable offline business, shows how all of this can work for them, just like a high-flying startup. They pioneered costume making for Mumbai's entertainment industry in 1926. In fact, they made the costume for India's first sound movie in 1931, Alamara. 100 years later, movies are digitizing, and so are they. Sarika, who took over from her father, has used Google Maps and search to go beyond Bollywood buyers, making sure anyone searching for costumes can call her business and get there. Finally, personal finance app Walnut shows how the internet can enable a small business to become a large one overnight. It started in 2014. They aim to simplify everything related to finance, paying your friends, managing your bills, getting tickets. Like the other businesses I mentioned, they've been using our platforms to reach customers, and they were doing pretty well. They had over 2 million users in November. But then demonetization was announced. Walnut decided to become a way for people to find out which ATMs had money and which don't. And you can imagine the volume of users and the interest they've had. They were able to scale quickly to meet the demand because they were running on Google Cloud. So they've gone from 2 million to over 5 million users just in the past few months. That kind of growth 5 years ago would have been almost impossible to manage. Telling these stories because I want to show what's possible. The fact is, this is not a hard journey, but it's one that most small businesses in India haven't begun because they don't think the internet is for everyone. But it should be, and it can be, and we would like to help. I couldn't be happier to announce today that we are making quality digital skills training to every single small business in India that wants it. We are developing this in partnership with one of India's leading industry groups, FICCI, and it's certified by ISB, one of India's top management schools. We are calling the program Digital Unlocked. It'll have online and mobile courses, but also real-world trainings in classrooms. Over the next 3 years, we will hold 5,000 training workshops across 40 Indian cities. We hope to reach thousands of businesses. In fact, the first of these, with more than 100 small business leaders, is actually happening right now, right across the hall. Any small business with an internet connection can sign up and get started on these trainings today. To make this journey easier, we are also launching a new tool later this year, in India first, and we'll expand this globally later, that will allow any Indian business to create a simple website for free. It's called the My Business website, and our goal is to allow any small business in India to have a website of their own that works on mobile and desktops. All you need is to set it up as a smartphone, a few free minutes. Any small business can build their own site, control it completely, and they will be able to easily organize around actions they care about. People calling their businesses, finding it, and placing orders. We hope that this will help some of more than the 90% of Indian small businesses that don't have any website presence today. My colleague Sapna is going to give more detail on these two initiatives, which we are very excited about. But before I go, I'd like to invite up to the stage the leaders of the 3 small businesses I mentioned earlier. I'd like to ask them a few questions about how they got started, the challenges they faced, and what they're up to next. So if you could all help me in welcoming Siva from Go Co-op, Sarika from Maganlal Reswala, and Patanjali from Walnut. Good to see you. So Sarika, maybe I'll start with you. You're running a business that's been around for many generations. So how have things changed, especially with internet, and what are you doing differently?
I think being the creative head and the partner of Maganlal Dresswala, most importantly, for every assignment that we used to take up earlier on, or even now, our own presence, my own presence in the business was very, very crucial and important to execute the order correctly. Because I used to get into designing and manufacturing and dealing with the clientele. So all of it used to keep me so occupied that I could never imagine leaving my store even for a day or going on a holiday. But thanks to the internet, all of it has really changed. I'd like to give you an example of the time when I had conceived around 4 years ago. When I had taken up the biggest order, which I've done so far in 15 years, which was for the biggest entertainment park of India, that's Imagica, and I had made loads of mascots for them over a period of 9 months. And the challenge was that I was expecting that time and I had to do it from home. So it was unimaginable for me to do it if internet wasn't there. Because everything that I did, right from discussing with my clientele, to getting feedback, to discussing with my production team, instant chatting, exchanging pictures, everything was done only and only through internet, and the result was brilliant. Thank you so much. So that's how the whole system of my business has changed because of internet.
It's inspiring to hear. How has your clientele changed now? From you were primarily making costumes for Bollywood, so have you expanded beyond now?
Yes, of course. I feel today, because of internet, the world has become one single marketplace. It's a global market. So earlier on, the major clientele was Bollywood costume filmmakers, but today we've reached out to so many more people all over the globe. In fact, they are able to reach us so easily, whether we talk of Dream Theatre, Discovery, for mascots, cultural dance costumes, foreign filmmakers, all of them are able to reach us in just, a click of a button, which is so beneficial for us.
Very, very good to hear.
Thank you.
Let's go to Siva right now. I hear you now have over 60,000 artisans on your platform. That's incredible. So how are the conversations with artisans? How do you explain to them what you do? How do you explain the concept of being on the internet and reaching people? And what are the conversations like?
Yeah, very good morning, everyone. Good morning, Sundar, once again. Just to explain the business problem here. So we have like 9 million artisans officially in India, and unofficially the numbers could be a couple of times of 9 million in India. And these are artisans mostly in the rural parts of the country where there is very little technology presence or access to technology. And most of these artisans produce products like this. This is a khadi shirt. The artisan generally gets 150 rupees per meter for the shirt. And the same shirt would get retailed at 2,000 or even gets retailed at $100 outside India. So the markets are very unfair. There is no access to market for these artisans. So when we started discussing, we started identifying this problem and started discussing with artisans about online. This was way back in 2012. It was almost like, for someone who has not seen a computer, telling them what is online and how it can benefit them was extremely difficult. And today things have changed quite a bit. We did a lot of workshops. We focused a lot on training, and I'm happy that Google is looking into the same approach right now. But in 2012, we were the first organization to focus on training on online business to artisans. This was back in 2012. And we were able to get artisans online, and today we have artisans in remote part of the countries who are selling their products not only to domestic customers but also to the customers outside India. So I think there's been a phenomenal transformation, I would say, in the last 3-4 years.
That's extraordinary to hear. Let's talk to Patanjali now. Your user base is more than doubled in a month, I guess.
Yeah.
So how has that been? It must have been quite scary, to manage through the transition. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting actually. So when we started out, it was just me and Amit from the photograph. And he wrote the app, I wrote the backend. And we wanted to have nothing to do with DevOps and stuff like that. So we chose a managed platform. And then demonetization happened last year, in November. So we went from about 1.5 million to 5 million yesterday. And so there were parts of it that was scary. But you know, the infrastructure and the cloud stuff that we use scaled very well for us. We didn't have to worry about it from that perspective. What really, you know, we were able to launch the feature in 48 hours after the announcement. So as the Prime Minister announced it and we decided we'd launch this feature, took a day or two to figure out. And then in 48 hours, we actually built out the whole feature and launched it. We matched up the data that we had. We did machine learning on top of it. We used the Maps API. So it was, you know, a conglomeration of all of these things. And we were able to go out really fast. So from a tech perspective, it wasn't scary. What was scary was, you know, the amount of people that were coming in, the amount of interest that it generated. And, you know, we were just running around making sure that the information we gave out was right. So we had our guys going out checking ATMs. You know, we had friends in other cities going and saying, is the information accurate? Then we added a crowdsourcing element to it. And we, you know, we were wondering whether the people are going to get back and give us this information. So that part of it was very interesting. But as a platform, we were able to scale very fast. And I mean, I don't think we would have been able to catch up like this if we hadn't built it to scale from the beginning itself. So, you know, these are extraordinary stories, but in many ways, you've all made the transition. I mean, this is part of why we're sharing the stories today. So we want to encourage other small businesses to do the same. So maybe in one sentence for the group, and we can start with you, what's the advice you would give? You know, for someone on the fence, you know, if you're a small local business, you know, you're looking at all this and say, is this for me to do? You know, what's the advice you would give?
There's a world full of opportunities out there which is locked in, and the only key to it is, in 2 words, go digital. And you know, it's not an option, it's a necessity. It's so crucial to your business, so go for it.
Siva?
Great. I've seen significant investments in technology in the large enterprise space over the last couple of decades. I think today, technology and especially digital is not just an enabler, but it's a strong necessity to compete, to grow. I think as Rajan said, I think the growth that we can see with digital is far more significant than what you can achieve without digital. So I think, yeah, it's time for all of us to embrace digital.
Yeah, I think the very interesting piece is that most people in India will see internet on a smartphone for the first time. So while, you know, it's obvious we have to go digital, you know, a lot of people are going to get enabled by it. It's very important for us to go digital with an Indian perspective. So for example, when we launched the app, there were a lot of personal finance managers out there in the world, right? And we launched it with a unique piece that banks send SMSs to users and we can automate and machine learn those SMSs and make it effortless for the user. So that twist, the Indian twist, is what we feel is pretty important, and really understanding the market and then going digital along with that will really benefit everyone.
Well, sadly, that's all the time we have, but I hope that these stories inspire folks in this room and beyond, and to get started on their own journeys. So with that, let's thank them, and I would like to invite Sapna Chadha to talk more about our Digital Unlock program. Thank you so much.
Thank you.